Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know, the world around us is changing so fast. It really makes you stop and think about education. Are we really setting kids up for the future if we're mostly just focused on, say, math and reading? It just feels like there's this whole other set of skills they need. You know, skills that aren't really in the textbooks. And yeah, that's where I think traditional schooling kind of hits a snag sometimes. There's such a big emphasis on standardized tests, right? And the curricula can be pretty rigid. And because of that, it often seems to skip over really vital things like creativity, working together, being adaptable, knowing about money, even just managing yourself. These aren't just like bonus skills. They're pretty essential for life today, but they often get pushed to the side.
Yeah, that's right. But what's really interesting and kind of revolutionary is how these AI-enriched classrooms are starting to, tackle this challenge head on. Mm-hmm. They're really beginning to shift the whole paradigm. What they do is integrate teaching these life skills right into the learning process itself. So suddenly they're not extras anymore. They're becoming, part of the core of how students actually learn.
Exactly. So, okay, our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack that. How can these AI-powered learning environments help equip you or, the kids in your life with those life skills that genuinely matter, the kind of skills that go way beyond the classroom walls and build that foundation for real long-term success? And we'll be digging into insights from AI-enriched learning for whole child development to sort of guide us through this.
Mm-hmm. And a really key idea from the source material is how AI is changing this concept of whole child development. I mean, that term's been around in education forever, right? Focusing on social, emotional, physical, and cognitive growth. But actually doing it consistently, that's been tricky. Sometimes it feels a bit superficial. What's different now is that AI classrooms offer a much more systematic way and a more personalized way to actually teach and nurture these skills. It's not just aspirational talk.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. How does that work? I mean, one powerful thing seems to be how AI allows for constant feedback. Mm. And not just on grades, which we expect, but also on things like, say, behavior patterns or managing time, even how students interact.
Right.
Can you imagine a platform tracking how long a student sticks with a tough problem before asking for help? Or noticing how often they start collaborating with others on a project? Yeah. That's really detailed stuff. That's powerful data.
Absolutely. And that kind of data is gold because it can lead to really targeted help. Or maybe just some timely encouragement, It helps teachers see exactly where a student needs support, not just academically, but personally. So they can maybe guide them to specific workshops or activities designed to build those essential soft skills. It's really about creating a complete dynamic picture of the learner, showing strengths and, areas for growth pretty much in real time.
Which brings us to something else. You mentioned how life skills aren't electives here. They're integrated right into the core curriculum.
Exactly.
So these enrichment workshops, they go way beyond just, arts and crafts.
Yeah.
They're designed to build solid communication skills, maybe through storytelling or digital projects, or teaching financial literacy using interactive simulations, like managing virtual money in budgeting exercises.
Yeah. Or another really cool aspect is teaching entrepreneurial thinking. Using project-based modules where students actually pitch ideas, build prototypes, maybe even try to sell them. They learn about market validation, problem solving. And of course, digital fluency isn't just about using tools. It's built through hands-on coding, animation, multimedia design, that kind of thing. And crucially, these aren't just tacked on. They're woven into the student's day, often directly informed by those AI diagnostics we were just talking about.
One of the best ways to learn life skills is through experience, right? Learning by doing. And it seems like these AI-powered classrooms really lean into that.
They do.
Because if AI can make some of the traditional academic stuff more efficient, maybe getting focused instruction done in just a couple of hours,
sometimes compressing it quite significantly,
then the rest of the school day can open up for these really immersive, almost real-world type experiences.
So what does that actually look like day to day? That's the important question. Well, for instance, a workshop on global cultures might have students using generative AI tools to, say, build virtual museums, bring ancient history to life.
Yeah.
Or maybe a leadership session challenges them with something like a super fast 45-second pit stop team exercise, really tests their communication under pressure.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Or perhaps a course on brand identity guides students to build and market their own personal logos, even create a digital portfolio they could actually use later.
So the overall impact on the student, What is it? This focus on hands-on experiential learning doesn't just build grit and adaptability and creativity, does it?
No, not at all. It also seems to foster a really deep, genuine love of learning. The school itself kind of transforms into this vibrant place of discovery. It moves way beyond what some might call the drudgery of just memorizing facts.
Yeah, it sounds much more engaging. Deep engagement, not just sitting through instruction.
And when you connect this to motivation, it gets even more interesting. You know, traditional rewards, grades, stickers, sometimes even punishments, they often don't build that true, lasting, intrinsic motivation, the desire to learn for its own sake.
Right.
But these AI-enriched classrooms, they tend to use more multi-layered motivation models.
Yeah.
These are rooted in, well, behavioral science, understanding what actually drives people, but also in student agency, giving learners more control, more ownership.
That really speaks to the personalization aspect again. Because everyone's motivated differently, right?
Exactly.
So the AI systems can track individual progress, see patterns, and provide these little personalized nudges or feedback loops that actually resonate with that specific student.
And the educators, who are often more like guides or mentors in this setup.
Right, less lecturers.
Yeah, they reinforce this with encouragement, one-on-one goal setting, maybe even tiered reward systems.
And those rewards sound pretty creative, too. Not just gold stars.
Oh, definitely. You see examples like earning time in special spaces, maybe an innovation lab for tinkering, or a think tank room for brainstorming together. Or students might earn a kind of school currency for hitting their goals, which they can then redeem for experiences they actually care about.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the key thing is, it's about recognizing personal growth and meeting personal goals, not just, beating classmates on a test. Over time, the idea is that students internalize this whole process. They start to genuinely own their learning, and that itself is a huge life skill.
Okay, so this all sounds incredibly promising, but there have to be challenges, right? Implementing this kind of change isn't easy.
Oh, absolutely. There are significant obstacles. A big one is just institutional inertia. How established systems resist change.
Like teacher training programs.
Exactly. Teacher prep programs are often quite slow to adapt. They might still be focused on older curriculum guides, rigid content frameworks, things that don't easily accommodate this more flexible, skills-focused approach.
What about at the school or district level?
Well, another real challenge is that school boards or curriculum committees sometimes view these essential life skills as a luxury. Nice to have, but not necessary.
Which means less funding, or they get deprioritized when budgets are tight.
Precisely. And then there's the huge pressure from state and national testing mandates. Schools feel obligated to prioritize the content that's going to be on the test, often above everything else.
So real-world readiness ends up taking a backseat to multiple-choice test prep. It's a tough cycle to break.
It really is.
So, okay, what does this all mean for us? For educators, parents, maybe just people listening who care about this?
Well, I think both educators and parents really need to be advocates. We need to push for a broader definition of what achievement means.
One that actually includes things like leadership, digital citizenship, financial know-how, emotional intelligence, right alongside the usual academic scores.
Exactly. And for you listening, whether your child's in a traditional school or one exploring AI, there are practical things you can do right now. If you're a parent, maybe encourage more independent learning at home. Let kids explore hobbies. Maybe keep a simple journal about what they're discovering. You could use simple digital tools together, budgeting apps, presentation software to teach practical life lessons, and really emphasize communication at home, just talking about the day, telling stories.
Good tips. And for teachers who might be listening.
Yeah, for teachers, even within the constraints of a traditional system, you can often integrate more project-based learning, offer students more choices, more agency.
Start small, maybe.
Right, maybe start experimenting with some free AI tools, see how they could help differentiate instruction, or maybe offer creative tasks that get kids problem solving. And importantly, advocate within your school or district for professional development focused on social emotional learning and AI in education. Your voice really does matter in pushing for this shift.
It really feels like a necessary shift.
I think this whole deep dive really underlines how education has to evolve. It can't just be about training students for exams anymore. It has to be about genuinely equipping them for Well, the complexities of life. AI isn't just making learning faster, it's fundamentally expanding its scope, changing what we teach and how we learn.
Yeah, it's clear that embedding these critical life skills right into the daily learning experience, that's how AI-enriched classrooms can help students leave school not just knowledgeable, but also, strong, self-aware, truly ready for the future. It really is about developing the whole person.
And the source material strongly suggests that the next big leap forward in education probably isn't going to come from piling on more tests. So that leaves a question for you to think about. If we are moving beyond just tests as the main measure, what does achievement really look like for the next generation? And maybe more personally, what will you consider to be the most important things for them to learn?
That is definitely a powerful question to mull over. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.